I know this isn't a baseball show, and I know we talked some baseball on Tuesday because of the current events currently happening with your advancing Kansas City Royals. And I'm just so glad that we as a city, as a community, can all come together to enjoy another great sort of equinox in Kansas City sports, where Saturday we can watch Royals Yankees, Sunday we can all sniff that red zone, and then on Monday, we have the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. What's that? They're also making the Royals play on Monday night after they played at 3 o'clock in a couple of weekdays in the wild card round? I'm going to have to split screen Royals, Yankees, and Chiefs, Saints. I would say that I don't know who to blame, but Rob Manfred has given us so many excuses to skip straight to him over the years that I at least know I'm mad at somebody. The fun thing might be, we'll get two weird games at once.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Let's talk about the red and gold, while hopefully the blue and gold will continue to interrupt as it deserves throughout the remainder of the playoffs. It's only weird games on the non-round ball sport. Joshua Brisco, Seth Keysor, and Nate Taylor with you here. Fellas, we got some news pretty recently, late this afternoon. Everything for the Chiefs is delayed by a day because they are playing on Monday instead of Sunday, as you most certainly know. But today, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, George Karlaftis speak at the podium, and then afterwards, Rashee Rice is placed on injured reserve. That's not surprising necessarily, but we'll talk about what Andy Reid had to say there. And then also, we get the practice reports, as Rashee Rice was the only player not participating in practice today. Mike Dana, Mecole Hardman, and Kareem Hunt were limited in practice today with their various ailments. And Nate, I'm just going to say, not only did I not expect Kareem Hunt to be on the Kansas City Chiefs the year of our Lord 2024 AD, I really am surprised to be in this chair saying, with all seriousness, oh no, if Kareem Hunt isn't healthy, the Chiefs offense might be in trouble. It's a weird season. What do you know, Nate? What the hell is going on?
I do think this is more precautionary, Josh.
Good, because he's the top 5 running back in the NFL.
for the audience, I believe as of right now, the expectation is Kareem Hunt will play on Monday Night Football. This is just a procedural thing where we remind you that he hadn't been hit in a long time. So honestly, they could have put anything down on this injury report and I would have believed it. Okay. Toe, ankles,
hockey,
hips,
upper body, lower body.
Yeah, like exactly. Like, well, what is Jastrzemski got? And he's like, well, he doesn't have teeth or a leg, but he could return in the after the second intermission. Interesting. Very cool. Great. Now it's a shoulder, which is not ideal. But I can tell you that Kareem Hunt's thighs hurt. I bet you those are sore. Bet you those are limited today. But he's going to play. I still think he took the majority of the reps. This was a great time to educate people, as always.
Yes.
Limited participation is anything you did that was short of the previous week when you were a full participant, which could mean one less rep or he just did one rep. There's a lot in between there. I don't think Kareem Hunt is on the he did one rep part of the limited participant for you gamblers out there. But yeah, it's this was the question all along. As we talked about on Tuesday, Andy Reid wrote the hot hand. The hot hand gave him pretty good production, considering he had no preseason, no training camp. And the question always is, how quickly can you back that up? Is that replicable, or is that a one time deal, get your memories in now situation. But no, I saw Kareem Hunt today at practice. I think he will play as of now. I think the bigger injury to worry about is Mike Dana, because it would be logical for the Chiefs to say, actually, let's put you closer to like the 12 reps, not the full reps, right? And with the bye week after Monday's game against the Saints, you don't have to push Mike Dana. So he'll be the one I think I'm more interested to follow as we get to this unusual Friday, Saturday designation day in terms of the practice week ahead of Monday's game. And with Rashee Rice, kids, I've been doing this long enough to inform you that sometimes you don't really want to talk. You know, you just kind of want to hang out, see what the vibes are. You know, that's why you want to be in the locker room. You know,
like maybe there's a value to that.
Maybe there's value to like just hanging out, you know, having a nice chat with Wanye Morris when he and I both know this ain't going to be on the record. Hey, let me get you for a few minutes, Trey Smith. These quotes won't see the light of day for weeks, but let's just have a nice chat. I believe McCole Hartman talked, and then he talked again, and then he talked again. Because see, kids, when one player at a position goes down, we immediately have to talk to somebody at that position, because how are you going to do your job? She's not there. So obviously that's a little tongue in cheek. We are talking to McCole Hardman for the third time today, because multiple, reporters can come in and out. They can do whatever. They can bounce around. So like, all right, let me just walk over there. Let me make sure I hear what McCole is saying, even though I don't really want to talk to nobody, man. Yep, next man up. Yep. Did he just say next man up again? Okay. Please don't say it a third time. Fuck, he did. Okay, next man up. Is that man walking? Hold on.
Who, Nate? Who was that man you saw out of the corner of your eye? What was going on over there in your periphery?
Hold on, let me back up out of the way. Ha! Is that Rashee Rice? Walking? A smooth gait? His knee is not exploding with each step? Okay. There's swelling, but manageable swelling. Interesting.
And then they put him on IR a few hours later. But that was probably going to happen. We were pretty sure. Well, nobody really thought he was going to miss fewer than 4 games. I mean,
right. Correct.
That's still positive. We heard from Andy Reid now on a couple of occasions. They're waiting on more tests and waiting for more swelling to go down. I think at this point, the longer with no news is probably good news, and seeing him walking around, not terribly gingerly, probably also good news.
Now, I love that this comment from Daniel here. I wonder if you see it the same too, Tucker. Daniel says, I had a fully torn ACL and could walk normally. And I have talked to a number of people who have experienced that. So we do want to acknowledge that we still got a lot of possibilities with all of this. Now, Daniel, I can tell you this. I've never seen a football player have a torn ACL and see him in the locker room the next week. I've never seen that. Not under Andy Reid. Ever. I've seen guys have ankle injuries and they're ghost. They never come back. Okay. So take it for what you will. I think it's a good sign. I've talked to a number of people in the organization, as I just wrote on my handy dandy laptop with these only meant for writing hands. there's growing optimism.
Love that. God, I
There-
love the words growing optimism.
There's
That's
growing optimism.
perfect.
There's growing optimism that Rashee Rice at some point could play more football in the regular season.
Growing optimism. If we ever
Now-
need to do a third rebrand, that's gonna be the third show. I think is growing optimism. We've really
Yes.
we've had enough weird games. I'd like some more optimism.
Now, obviously, everything's in the details. I treat that very seriously with my job, regardless of how silly it is. And of course, there's been some reports out there that, Rashee Rice is going to take a whole week, which I thought was asinine. All right. Do some reporting. I talk to some folks. I check around. And Josh, I don't know, had this detail been put out there?
I don't know.
So I wrote it in the Athletic. It was on a little website called NewYorkTimes.com. That Rashee Rice was going back home to see a specialist.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody had reported that yet.
Not sure.
But this is happening on Monday. I guess more than likely on Monday. I can't say it definitively because he's still among us. In our beloved Lord's Kansas City. He's still among us. I love the person who said he has risen. And I was like, okay, he didn't die. We've seen that at an NFL game.
At bare minimum, I think he qualifies as a martyr. I mean, he got attacked by his own quarterback, I think.
Anyone that says he has risen in regards to the NFL, dark times, kids. Dark times. I thought we were shutting the season down. Remember we went from, man, Chiefs really need the Bengals to win this game too. I don't know if I can watch football again, guys, too. But if we play more games than them, we can be the 1 seed. The sport is insane. Okay, the sport is utterly insane. I know I'm going on too long of a tangent, but yes. Probably when the Kansas City Chiefs are playing the New Orleans Saints, and probably when Bobby Witt Jr. has done another clutch single to left field, because Aaron Boone will pitch to this man, even though we ain't got 9 hitters. Okay, we're asking, guys, I'm asking for 4. I'm asking for 4 hitters, Seth. 4. And can we string them together? Couple, just like 2 and 2. I know there's some holes. We can't do everything.
Seth, I genuinely don't know if you've done this math, but the Royals won the series 3-2, not games, total runs. Or I'm sorry, 3-1.
Yes, 3-1. Yeah,
3-1.
Yeah,
it was 1-0 and a 2-1 game.
Yeah, I think you're gonna need that.
I
think you're gonna need
Defense
more than that.
Championships, Nate.
People have said, "Hey, is Yankee Stadium a real ballpark?" And kids, we about to find out.
I'll tell you what, Cole Reagans is about to find out.
Now, Aaron Boone, do us all a favor.
Bobby Witt's about to find out.
Yeah, do us a favor, Aaron Boone. All right, please do what the Orioles did. The Orioles are like, but what if we pitch to their best player in the most high leverage moments of our season?
Honorable, the correct thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing that.
Can you continue to do that, Aaron Boone? Now, he's still the manager of the Yankees. Is that right?
It's either him or Joe Girardi or Joe Torre. One of the 3 for sure.
Joe Torre is amazing. So look,
hold on. Joe Torre's still alive. We're good here, buddy. All clear.
Okay.
Just wanted to double check. Pretty sure.
All right. So when let me guess the inning. In the 6th inning, when Bobby Witt Jr. hits a double to left to give the Royals a 2-1 lead, Rashee Rice will maybe be in Dallas. He'll probably be in Dallas. At that point, there will probably be scans, probably a conversation or two. And the team hopes to have more definitive information about the severity of his injury on Wednesday-ish. Sorry for such a long road, but how can you?
It was a long road to a long thought, because the thing that Seth and I both have to admit here is that we know what is out there, and now maybe a smidge more. But it seems like, honestly, this is not frequently the case in the NFL. the team may not know a whole lot more than they've let on to this point. Outside of growing optimism, there is still sort of a choose your own adventure puzzle inside of Rashee Rice's right knee right now.
Correct.
And we'll see where that gets us. But he'll be sidelined for at least the next 4 games. I saw a question in the comments earlier. I had to double check this earlier today because it doesn't fit the logic of a lot of similar lists and stuff. 4 games, not 4 weeks. So it'll be 5 weeks minimum for Rashee Rice because the bye week is in there. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another little bit of roster news. His 21-day window has been open to return from the NFI list. So those are the kind of the procedural things there. We will not see Rashee Rice for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 games minimum.
I don't think we'll see Clyde Edwards-Helaire in uniform if Kareem Hunt's in uniform.
Yeah.
As Andy Reid told us today, and I'm sorry I forgot this, Josh, this is a traditional build-up for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So
right.
If Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in uniform on Sunday, something has not gone according to plan. But this sort of tells you that he should be ready for the next game after the bye week against the San Francisco 49ers. That will be basically his 21-week window, considering the bye week's a part of that. But yeah, it was nice to see Clyde, again, being himself, and he too has rested fresh legs for the 49ers as of this point.
And it sounds like Charles Omenihu is probably still a ways out. I think that may have actually been exactly the phrase that Andy Reid used. Was it a little ways out, something like that, in the way that doesn't seem like his warm-up is imminent. But
Halloween is when we'll double back on Charles Omenihu.
Get back when you can, Chuck, and we'll all be glad to see you. 2/3 of us here will be glad to see you. Let's talk about what we could see in New Orleans, as Seth is working on a piece about Xavier Worthy, not yet published. So we're going to get some hot off the presses takes here from Mr. Keysor. You can read it when it does arrive at mnchiefsfan.substack.com, or if you're not subscribed yet, $12 a year at bit.ly/Seth really hates money. I'm not misspeaking. It's that low of a price. Also, you can read the Mahomes Week 3, Week 4 film review that we discussed some on Tuesday before that was out. You can read that there as well. It's a great use of your $12, but we're also going to make Seth spend a little bit of it back right here to tell us about Xavier Worthy and what he might be able to do, Seth. The scope of the Chiefs offense continues to change. They are down their number 1 receiver, their number 1 running back, and their number 2 receiver. And frankly, feels like they never really, with Hollywood, they literally never had their entire offense all healthy together. So that was the first play of the preseason. Tell us what's important, what's exciting about Xavier Worthy, and what you would ask Andy Reid to do with the rookie speedster. After the break.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNOWG. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
You know how good that was? Look, speaking on topic, I love it when the umpire, look, man, it's postseason. The stands are full, okay? It's chilly out there. It's crisp. I need you to go full kung fu master when someone gets got on a questionable call because you're a human being in a rabid stadium for the home team. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're an umpire and you're one of these guys that just does, yeah, strike one, strike two, he gone. I don't want to see you in the postseason. I need
Postseason's not for you.
Yeah, he's got him. We got him.
I want to see something that would get you fined as a touchdown celebration.
He's out.
I think umpires should be allowed to do gun-based.
Yeah, that's what Josh just did to Seth.
Seth, does your mic or voice work? I haven't had a chance to test it yet today.
It's been 84 years. Thanks. God, that was brutal. That was so funny. I had a whole, I was like, oh, I'm going to clear my throat and do like a bit. And that was so funny. And the change up jokes were so great. That thing had 25 inches of movement on it, and it just dropped when it hit the plate. Just like, that was one of those that I was spinning around. So, God,
Much like Xavier Worthy does the defensive backs.
There, Xavier Worthy. For the life of me, honest to God, I couldn't remember. So, all right. So, here's the thing. I've looked at Worthy's film from the last couple games because I'm interested, specifically after Rice left the game. I was curious how the Chiefs would utilize him. And people should know this, but in case they don't, 2 important targets, which were really like, 2 of his only 3 targets, which that's something they got to figure out. Like, you got to figure it out. But they were 2 important targets that the down the field one, that's obvious. And we'll talk about that. There was more to that than him just sprinting ahead. We can talk about that. The thing that I saw that I liked was you had a 3rd down, a gotta have it. They dialed up a pick play to get Worthy open, and he ran it correctly, got the spacing right, went where he was supposed to go, I think it was Hardman, run the pick for him. 1st down. The next was the play at the very end of the game. Same thing. It's designed for him to get him open. It's that same. It's a mesh concept with a crosser baked in to basically make it. And we talked about this last week when it didn't work because of bad spacing. It's designed to be able to win against man and zone.
Yes.
And that's what's beautiful about that. I think it's a great concept. I wish it's one they ran more often, honestly. Like, I think that's an incredibly difficult concept to defend with the Chiefs' specific personnel. I think having Worthy run the drag and Kelsey run the crosser, or the reverse, having Kelsey run the drag and Worthy run the crosser.
Don't say that. The Saints gonna see it on Monday.
I think they should be running that concept 5 times a game, because if you're playing zone, you've got some levels issues there, and you've got a guy in Kelsey, especially if he's on the drag, that knows where to kind of just stop. If you're running man, that crosser gives Worthy plenty of time to sprint away. It's just a great concept. What I like about both those things, those are plays that are designed for Xavier Worthy. Now I want to see them, some of the plays that we saw like in week 1, where before Mahomes kind of lost faith in his protection a little bit, and he's still working his way through that. Which I finished the Mahomes film review. We talked about him a lot, but the biggest takeaways there, well, we can come back to that if you want, because we're talking about Worthy. I want to see them operate the offense a little more like they did in the first half against the Ravens, because it might feel like an eternity ago, but Mahomes was en fuego. And what they were doing was they were running a lot of spread stuff with certain personnel designed to get Rashee Rice isolated in the middle of the field. I want to see them run some of that with Xavier Worthy. I want them to at least see. You can't tell me that guy can't run a whip route. I mean, these things, they're there for the taking. He's shown spacing. He's shown patience. He's shown actual route running chops. And so I'm going to be writing about that on the Chief of the North newsletter, that, kind of focusing on some routes where he's been targeted and some where he hasn't, where he's demonstrated the ability to get open down the field. He's demonstrated the ability to beat cover 2 down the field. He's demonstrated the ability to really open up things for other guys on the offense, but you need targets to do that. Now, that said, that 54-yard touchdown, let me just tell you, that play will affect coverages for the next 4 weeks, even if they don't hit another one. And I think they will, because that you lose games because of plays like that. And that's why a legitimately great deep threat is such a valuable thing, because it's not just about the times that you get targeted and catch the ball. It's the time that you drag 2 or 3 defenders with you, and then Noah Gray is wide open in the middle of the field because they're also terrified of Travis Kelce. That's what they were able to do with Tyreek Hill for years with him and Kelce. And that's why you just need a legit deep threat. And defenses can't just say, we are just going to let them hit that every 3 or 4 times and understand that it's usually going to fall incomplete. Because if you attempt it 10 times a game and you only hit it 2 or 3 times, that's 2 or 3 touchdowns. And that's how you lose games as a team. Big plays and turnovers change games. So I'm excited to write about that. It was really fun watching the film. Hopefully it'll be tomorrow. I have no idea how I'm going to make that happen, but hopefully I'll be able to have that tomorrow. If not, I'll have it up Saturday. I was going to write maybe about wide receiver trade targets. I don't think I'll get around to that this week, but I do think Worthy has shown route running chops. He's still getting used to being careful about contact in the middle of the field. He's still learning how to not get jarred off of contact. He recovers well. He's got good bounce, but you can see him learning to flow through it, flow around it, to kind of keep his head on a swivel there, because he does weigh $170, and you can tell. So that's something that he's going to have to continually work on. But I want to see, and I'll be honest, I don't expect it against the Saints. I really don't. I think it's going to be a kind of everyone eats. I think if they're going to have Worthy really fulfill that role, I think it'll be after the bye. But I'd love to see it now. Just spam some of those downfield targets and see how it goes.
I want to scoop of that, Seth. I want to know, what is there a deficiency that has been shown from Xavier Worthy? Is it an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes trust issue? Is it something in the offense? I'm asking you to get into meetings you're not currently allowed into, but
sure.
What's your best understanding as to why the Chiefs might be in any way, not even that he hasn't had a larger role so far, that makes sense, because Rashee Rice was supposed to have a larger role against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. What makes you believe that the Chiefs will be hesitant to start that plan on Monday?
Just Andy Reid's history. Nothing to do with Worthy's tape. Everything I've seen with it's not as though Worthy. I said this after the preseason game where he finally got
good.
Where he finally, Nate has a tennis ball, everyone, in case you're wondering what he's doing. Worthy
just getting ready for my next bit. That's all. Go ahead.
Worthy in the one preseason game that he got significant snaps. I commented he ran more of a route tree than we saw from Rashee Rice in the first half of the 2023 season. I stand by that. He's run a little more detailed route tree, but he's generally been a setup guy. He's generally not been the number one option. Reid's offense is just set up. It's designed looks a lot of the time for certain guys. And that's just how it's worked. And Andy Reid's hesitation to make a rookie the center of that kind of thing is why I kind of don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I could see it being a little more against the Saints, but I still think some of those routes are going to go to Sky Moore. I think some of them are going to go to Juju Smith-Schuster. Maybe not Sky Moore.
Why you name him first?
And I think some of them, I think more of them will go to Juju Smith-Schuster. But interesting thing there is that, Smith-Schuster is a good setup guy on those routes, similar to Justin Watson.
Yes.
He runs those routes in a way to get other guys open, and they don't have anyone else like Worthy to pull coverage down the field. Like, and that's
That's why the
there's
MVS trade we're going to talk about in a minute is a good
yeah,
idea.
baby.
and that's
Can Watson? Dead seriously,
and look,
Seth. Can Watson do some of that, or is that a speed based thing?
I mean, Watson's fast, but he just doesn't open up quickly. I think the term Matty Lane uses is kind of a slow burn.
Yeah.
And MVS is similar, but MVS has better top speed. And so once he's walking away from guys, and teams have just seen it more, whereas with Watson, he just doesn't pull coverage as well. So I would love for them. That was one of the reasons why it was such a cool fit with Hollywood Brown, because Hollywood Brown can pull defenses deep too, and Rashee Rice was starting to do that. And so they've got different layer type concepts they can utilize where they do have Justin Watson or McCole Hardman running deep, and then the safety will get pulled maybe just because it's his job. It's just you're not going to get pulled as heavy when it's Watson or Hardman as you would with Xavier Worthy.
You might get that by default, but not out of respect. Like
Correct.
Xavier Worthy demands some respect there, right?
Yep. And so I am curious. They definitely wanted to have more of a downfield presence against the Chargers, even before Rice got hurt. And I think they're going to keep trying to open that up with Worthy, because everything else they're trying to do on offense, and we talked about this during the offseason, what their struggles were last year was contingent on making some things happen in terms of threatening defenses down the field and forcing them to really not just be clogging the area where Travis Kelce works and where Andy Reid's system might create openings. So I think they should go for it. Everything I've seen from Andy tells me they probably won't. I think that's probably a post-bye week thing where there's plenty of time there.
Can I enlighten you on why you're right, Mr. Keysor?
Sure.
Fix the offense with the tennis ball. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes these things just happen, right? You just get in a room with your friends in front of a laptop, and things just sort of take off. Now, look, I wanted to wear this hat in honor of these O's ain't loyal or royal. God, it feels so good to say that again. These O's ain't royal. Nothing better than a reporter asking Gerard Dyson, "Hey, you think you guys will be back in Baltimore?" "No, sir, I do not." For 1 week, kids, you are about to get one of the old Andy Reid specials, okay? You haven't seen this in a while because Patrick Mahomes has been at the helm for so long, and the postseason has pretty much been assured by week, whatever, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? So, you get the occasional, like, vanilla offense in week 18 versus the Chargers because, Chad Henne or Blaine Gabbert or Carson Wentz at some point has to play, right? You haven't seen one of these games, one of these ones, since a guy named Matt Moore went toe-to-toe against Aaron Rodgers for 3 quarters in prime time.
That was awesome.
I was there, kids. It was one of the greatest coaching jobs I've ever seen Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy do at the time, because they had no business winning that game, and it was close. It was really close. So what does that mean? Nate, why'd you get a tennis ball out? Well, kids, on Saturday, look, everything from here is gravy. All right. Everything from here is a bonus. Don't get too high. Please do not get too low. Okay. There's a team over there with pinstripes. They hit the ball hard. Okay. And we're serving Micah Walker in game 1. Now you might say, look, give us 4, Micah Walker. Give us 4. Okay. I used to hate you because you played for the Cardinals. Now I have a lot of respect for you because you've come to the other side. What you're about to see Michael Walker do on Saturday and Andy Reid do on Monday is grab a ball, knowing cameras are around you, and you're going to spit on it anyway. You're going to spit on that ball. You're going to rub the hell out of it. You're going to try to get all that sweat and all that condensation on that ball. You're just squeeze the life of it. Now, I really shouldn't do this because this is a official game ball from Wimbledon.
That's awesome. Why are you trying to smush it?
His name is Aaron Judge. And have you seen the right field wall? Ugh. Hey, maybe Tyrann Mathieu knows all of our concepts, formation, plays, and maybe tendencies. I gotta really just, you know what? I know you gotta check me up as soon as we're done with this. Okay, all right. Now what that means is Juju, Hitches, and Diggs, and the occasional just find space. All right. Now,
Yeah, you got one in you, Juju. You got one game. Because I'm
gonna rub the hell out of them knees, boy. Yeah. Rub the hell out of them. Okay. Yeah. Now we got a bye week. You'll get 13 days. Okay. Now, Justin Watson, I need you to run more than corner routes. Okay. They know it. I know it. Everybody know it. Okay. I need you to run more than a corner route. Hey, Samaje Perine. You ready for some screens? Ready for all the screens. I expect Xavier Worthy to get bubbles and jet sweeps and end arounds. Can we somehow finagle a way to a double-digit lead? Which, by the way, kids, hasn't really happened this season. But if that were to happen, then maybe we could run the ball with Kareem Hunt, who, again, will get 13 days off, okay? So, hey, Waka, no fastballs. I want spitballs. I want changeups. I want knuckleballs. I want sinkers. I want cutters. I want sliders. I want I want junk. Junk it up, baby, for 5 innings. Okay, give our boys a chance. Because if you give us 5, you know, Bobby, we're gonna come through once. You know, Salvi ain't gonna be held down that long. Okay. They are going to do such utter nonsense against the Saints because they have the bye week. And Andy Reid, to Seth's point, does not need to put more on Xavier Worthy's shoulders. He not going to do that. It's not the time to do that. Again, real football ain't even until Thanksgiving. So Rashee Rice will be fine. Xavier Worthy will be ready to go. I don't know. I may have switched the names up. You know
Breaking news. Nate Taylor of the New York Athletic Times reports that Rashee Rice will be 100% healthy by Thanksgiving.
Okay, I maybe meant to say Xavier Worthy. Now look, the best part of all this is you can't actually lean on your defense because your defense is playing quite well. It will be loud. Have we seen Derek? I mean, we haven't seen Derek Carr play well in Arrowhead since 2020. So, you know, and that was with a guy who we didn't know was quite racist at the time. Now, look, with all that said, you just got to keep squeezing that ball out, keep spitting on it. I mean, lick it. I mean, there's a million cameras in there, okay? Hey, Juan Soto. You ready, baby? You ready for this? You ready for this 50-foot knuckleball? No fastball, Michael Waka. None. Zilch. Okay, I don't want to see one. More cutters, more sinkers, more changeups. Does he? I mean, he throws a decent curveball. Hell, go curveball. Let him see it twice before he ever sees a fastball. That's what the Chiefs are going to do on Monday night too. So I'm just preparing people for Saturday and Monday.
I'm already stressed out about both of those now. Thank you, Nate. Anything else on that, Seth, in terms of the Inspector Gadget that's going to end up running the Chiefs offense on Monday night and the idea that you can kind of reload, reset, and put some more things on Worthy's shoulders during the bye week? Yes. I get it. I'd also like to see fast guy go fast when acceptable.
I want to see them load up on some deep shots to him and Mahomes figuring that out in terms of their timing, their spacing, Worthy figuring out a lot of people blamed purely Mahomes for the deep ball that got deflected by Mike Hughes and almost picked really against the Falcons.
Yep.
And Mahomes should have led him to a different spot, but Worthy also didn't really understand the positioning that he needed to take there, because he had the inside position, and had he slowed up and kind of boxed out a little bit, he'd have had a shot at bringing that down. Now, that's not his game. Mahomes should have let him, but I would love to see them lean into that, because it's an opportunity to really just kind of see what he can do and what he can't do as they try to plan around the rest of the season and figure out whether or not they can make things work.
I have one Mahomes question for you that I think we may have loosely discussed this on Tuesday, but you mentioned it explicitly in the story, and it's another version of what you just mentioned there. Was one of the times that Mahomes left a pocket that you acknowledged was not a good pocket. I believe you said in the story, it's like an 80-20 snap where 80% is on the offensive line and 20% is on Mahomes, bailing more aggressively than he needs to, because as you noted, if he just sort of scoots away from pressure, he can set his feet, he can keep the space, he won't run into more pressure off the edge. A lot of the games that the Chargers were doing, we talked about that on Tuesday. The like half-baked take that I have right now is that Mahomes has been taking 80% your fault, 20% my fault, and then still making the play happen constantly, or overcoming someone else's 80% fault to just still pull the rabbit out of the hat by being almost perfect. The fact that it does seem like there is enough, okay, we talked about the balance of all of this, as you've said many times, it's not this thing or that thing, it's all of this working in concert. But it does feel like there have been 2-3 different types of issues that we've seen Mahomes maybe let affect him more than it has in the past. I wanted to mention that when I read past that earlier today, and I was curious what you thought about that idea.
Yeah. The Chargers game was a little bit unique. So I did the two film reviews at once, week 3 and week 4. And what's interesting is the things that Mahomes had go on his end were different in each game. And so it's important to me, at least, to not lump together. It's not all one thing, and it's not even a consistent thing. His footwork was really sloppy against Atlanta, and that resulted in way more inaccurate throws than normal. I only charted, I think, 2 inaccurate aimed throws against the Chargers. He cleaned that up in a huge way. But then suddenly we had some missed shots. We had some happy feet, quite a few happy feet. But the happy feet didn't start until the interior line failed a few times in situations I don't think he was expecting it. I think Minter surprised them with with not just the games in terms of the stunts, but in the way they were pursuing it. Not all stunts involve the I guess bait player, whatever you'd want to think, slamming into the interior like just with everything they've got. Normally it's more of a lateral type thing. And I'm curious what the Saints decide to do. I'm curious what future teams like, hey, if the interior is going to give up some pressure and give up the depth of pocket, might as well, since we're executing a stunt anyway. It does seem like similar to how last year the entirety of the receiver issues seemed to bug him. I think he's still hanging on to a little bit of that. I'd be shocked if he weren't. He managed to, or not that he's hanging on to it, but that it's closer to the surface, right? It's especially with everything else that went on. I think because he's still feeling things out, I think that bailing and not trusting what his eyes are showing him, because there were a couple times where you saw him clutch the ball and he wanted to let it go, including the snap you're talking about, the one that was kind of like an 80-20 thing to where I think Mahomes could have done a better job. He wanted to go because Worthy was open there for 6. At that point, Mahomes was on the run and he had a guy pursuing him to where he was running. It's not like the typical, Mahomes is jogging right, rolling right. There's a big difference between rolling right and sprinting right. And you saw him think about it, but I think that pick was in the back of his head. And that's the other thing. He's thrown more picks over the last few games. And really, when you go back to last regular season, which, by the way, if you're citing stats, in Mahomes' last 9 games, he's whatever. He played 4 games in the postseason, right? Like,
I believe
those
games
count. Those games happened. That's the problem with using, PFR. for that kind of thing. PFR is a great site. Don't know what I'd do without it. But you got to include it all, because then he proceeded to throw 1 pick in 4 games against some really good defenses. And that was just a throw that just got away from him. That's it. So we can't, wow, he's suddenly, this, that, and the other thing because of what happened in the regular season, because, man, he tightened it down. But I do think he is trying to be a little less careless. He's trying to find that fine line there. So I think it's gotten to him a little more than in the past.
All right, let's shift into some guys who aren't currently on the team. As Nate has written about this in The Athletic, you're out there fielding offers from other beat writers, Nate. You put up the bat signal. You said, I need a receiver. What do you want to give me? And the Buffalo Bills said, you can have Marquez Valdez-Scantling for a 2025 late-round draft pick. All right, let's go ahead and preview Saints-Chiefs Monday Night Football. No, because there were a couple of... The thing that I found interesting from this, Nate, was what the costs may be. So MVS for a flyer, I understand that. Deontay Johnson and Amari Cooper, I think, are probably the ones we should talk about now. If you want to read all of it, you can go read it in The Athletic.
Yes.
Christian Kirk's name comes up. I understand that from Jacksonville's standpoint. The money doesn't really make sense to me.
Yes, right.
Can I give my super quick Devontae Adams take? Here's my super quick Devontae Adams take.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not going to happen for a huge variety of reasons, but the reason shouldn't be because the Raiders don't want to send him to Kansas City. If the Chiefs were to somehow be able to present the best offer to the Raiders should send him to Kansas City. They are on a multi-year rebuild. They just watched that team win the Super Bowl on their home field. It can't get worse than that from a divisional standpoint. Oh, Devontae Adams went from Vegas to Kansas City and they helped them three-peat. Did you get the Chiefs' first-round pick next year? Are the Chiefs now looking at a future without a first-round pick in 2025? Do you now have 2 first-round picks? I know it's not apples to apples, but the Chiefs weren't afraid to trade Tyreek Hill in the AFC. They sent him to an AFC contender who they saw in the playoffs not too long after, and that Tyreek Hill trade, if the Chiefs would have held out for the best NFC offer, do they have the backlog of picks to go get Trent McDuffie? Do they have the picks to get Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis? It's also why I stood up for the Bills during the Xavier Worthy trade up.
Yeah.
Take the best thing for your team. And if people blab about it on talk shows that you shouldn't have traded with a team who's better than you, you have to improve your team the best way possible. I don't think Devontae Adams will end up in Kansas City for other more important reasons.
Right.
But I don't like that little conventional wisdom. I know Al Davis may rise from the dead to try to put that phone back down. I get it. But if you're serious about rebuilding, take the best offer that you can get. I think that'll come from the Jets, probably.
Can I help out people in the comments in terms of the money aspect?
Sure.
The money aspect, one thing I didn't know when I first tweeted about this is that Devontae Adams has 0 guaranteed dollars after 2024, which means whatever team trades for him would cut him after the season and have 0 financial repercussions. So when people say money, what you're talking about is the $13 million cap hit this year, which then sinks with every game. And if you offer something, the Raiders can eat some of that. They can do like a quick little bonus.
Seth, they want to eat some of it. They would like to eat some of that money to get him out of their building,
which is its own issue, right? Like that's something that you have to consider. I would say a guy who's proven to kind of be a malcontent. And you know what? I watched receiver. Is Devontae Adams a guy I would want on my team for more than 1 year? No, I don't think I would.
Counterpoint. The Raiders decided they didn't want the quarterback that Devontae Adams went to Vegas to play with.
Oh, absolutely.
I also didn't watch receiver.
Yeah. It's just interesting, his viewpoint, and I think a lot of great receivers are like this. His continual thing about, one of his, I don't measure in wins or losses, but in greatness, because like they'd won a game, but he's
such a number one.
Ugh. And I get it. And all receivers are like that. And they can deal with that. I don't know if I'd want him long term, but the money aspect of things, that's actually doable. That is doable. And the long and short of it, though, if people are like, oh, well, he's a diva. So are like probably 4 wide receivers at least on the Chiefs roster. Okay.
Yeah.
Like they're just not as good as Devontae Adams. So you don't know that. Okay. And here's the thing, it's for half a season. And it's for half a season or like 3/4 of a season where a guy knows he's getting cut when the year's done and he could hit the market and get paid one more time if he has a great season. That's kind of the situation. Now, I don't think it'll happen. I think there's good reasons it won't happen. I don't think the Chiefs will be willing to pay the price.
How old is he, Seth?
I don't know. 30-something. 31, 32.
I think this is his age 30. He turns 32 on Christmas Eve, I believe.
Right.
Hey, guys,
and Hopkins was able to get a pretty sizable deal.
Yes, but for this particular discussion, if you have a 30 next to your name, stop thinking about that receiver. The Kansas City Chiefs have been diligent and deliberate when they've tried to trade for receivers that are not a part of their team. We're not looking for 30-year-olds. We're not looking for 30 and up for a mid-season trade. Now, circumstances have been less ideal or more dire this time around than in previous years, but I just think with the money, with the perceived attitude, whether that's legit or not within your own organizational structure and culture, there's also the Chiefs. The Chiefs want a young roster, and that does not go towards that.
They would target the young receiver. Maybe we wouldn't have to talk about this.
Yeah.
Who do you like then, Nate? Because Amari Cooper's 30, Devontae Adams is in his age 32 season. Who amongst the trade offers gave you one that you thought that's a deal I think the Chiefs would make, and that's a player who I think would help?
Can you say what the offers are?
Yeah,
and
I'll
then
tell you what
Josh
the
and I
offers
can
are.
say yes or no.
Yes. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of the trade machine for your Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to receivers. As Josh mentioned earlier, the Buffalo Bills called about Marquez Valdez-Scantling for a 2025 late-round draft pick, and were immediately hung up on. Here we go.
I'd think about it. I'm dead serious.
The Cleveland Browns have called you. Their season is warped, and they would like a third-round pick for Amari Cooper, the pick that you got in return for the L'Jarius Sneed trade. So, Cooper, third-round pick. What is your answer? Knee jerk.
I'll call you back.
Okay. Seth?
No, but I'll give you our third rounder.
Yeah, it's kind of I'm in that space.
Oh, okay.
I'll call you. I'll call you back after we talk to Carolina. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
On that one.
Now, normally, kids, you wouldn't tell the other team who you're calling. Just keep that in mind. Great answer.
Actually, you know what? I'll call you back is probably. I don't think I would knee-jerk reaction, give up a third, given that you know for sure he's a rental.
Yep.
Yes. Now you have to be mindful, ladies and gentlemen, that I know we're getting somewhat down the road. The Chiefs have, as of right now, and I'm just looking through Pro Football Focus's draft simulator. They have, as of right now, 4 picks in the top 100. So you have 2 third rounders, obviously your first and your second round pick. Now, next offer, as I scroll down here. Okay.
So it was Amari Cooper for a third.
Yes.
We said we'll call you back, so a tentative no.
Yes.
But we'll call you back. Okay.
Christian Kirk from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who has more than this year on his contract, for a second round pick in 2025.
I will not call you back.
Yeah, that's just a no for me.
Okay.
Not interested.
Actually, let me look at one thing.
Okay.
The remaining year on his contract isn't an advantage.
It's not
correct.
No,
that's literally why we're calling.
Yeah, no.
No. His cap hit next year is $27 million. Hard pass. Now, what it would actually
15
be,
and a half of that would probably fall to the Chiefs.
Yeah, about 50. The base salary is 15 and a half. No,
you'd pay him a little more than you were paying free agent MVS, but I'm not for a second. Not for a second. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Get out of my face.
Hey,
get out of my face.
This is what happens in real life, kids. I know I'm making the call for you to say no, but I gotta make the call. Here's a more underrated one that I actually found really intriguing when I thought about it more thoroughly because of the offer. the New York Giants, who may not win another game between now and November 5th,
Yes,
official...
I'll take Malik Neighbors
I love
for
you
a late
guys.
6th round pick.
I'll do a fifth.
Sevy has a concussion right now.
Do the
Okay,
Giants front office
seventh-round
have a
pick.
concussion? Because I'll call them.
So the Giants call and offer Darius Slayton for a day 3 pick. Basically a
I'd
4th
make-
rounder.
I'm trying to think. Isn't he's not hurt right now, is he?
He is not hurt. He is healthy.
I expected to see Jalen Hyatt's name in this story for what it's worth. Slayton was not the name that I expected. How old is Slayton? Do you have that up there, Seth? Or do you know Nate?
He was born in 97, drafted. So he's relatively young.
He's
27.
relatively he's
My
relatively
gosh,
young.
I'm
He is
old.
he is in the prime of his career. And think about this. And this is from a good friend of mine, Dan Dugan, who covers the Giants for us. He reminds me over the phone, essentially, that Darius Slayton has played with Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, Tommy DeVito, Mike Glennon, Jake Fromm, and Colt McCoy, and still averages 15 yards per catch.
Here's my middle ground, and then you can give it the verdict up or down, Seth. I would say that I'm interested, but I don't think he's fixing what I'm most concerned about with the offense right now. I don't know that he's an immediate needle mover in the way that I'm hoping a couple other guys here might be.
Which means that this is where reality sort of lies, is that you could get to the trade deadline and that might actually be a legitimate deal. Darius Slayton for a 4th round pick. Neither one's thrilled, but you can compromise on it. Just keep that in mind. Now, as we enter more Fantasy Island, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 3-1, who haven't even started their projected number 1 quarterback, have offered George Pickens, the guy who was selected after Sky Moore, for a 2025 1st round pick and a 3rd round pick.
No.
Andy Reid just called me to say no.
Okay. Glad we could do that. I don't even have to talk about how he's a knucklehead and they didn't like him. Okay. So
As opposed to Sky Moore, who they fell in love with.
Slayton, I'd do a late day 3 pick. I'd do a 6th rounder for Slayton. I think
I'd follow you there.
there's a level of competency there that he brings to the offense and threatening levels of the field that would give you more variety options with Xavier Worthy,
and
which I think is crucial.
He's talented. He will be motivated. He's pretty durable. And he would like to not be catching passes from Daniel Jones anymore, I'm assuming. Also, one thing to keep along with the Darius Slayton caliber of potential target, that player, if things go a certain way, would be more inclined to stay with the Chiefs past the 2024 season. You also have to think about that too. You're not just trading a pick for today, essentially 1 year. You're also trying to hedge it to some degree, because what makes Kadarius Toney so fascinating, and I'll never forget this. Not only was Kadarius Toney extremely talented, could fit a lot of things that Andy Reid liked. Obviously, you had jukes upon jukes. He didn't want to play football for them no more. He wants to play football for you guys. And he's got multiple years on his contract. And I will never forget Mark Spears, who I love to death. Marcus Spears, ESPN Swagoo. I'll never forget that he said the thing you can't say out loud. And it is proven to be true, but he said it at the time. Patrick Mahomes has made Kadarius Toney want to play football again. And so you kind of have that carrot. It's just got to go better than it did with Kadarius Toney. So now we get to what people I'm sure are most interested in. Now that we know that we're interested in Slayton, we kind of want to call you back on Amari Cooper, okay? The Carolina Panthers, who have no desire to go anywhere this season.
Which is good, because they didn't have a choice.
Because they terrible, okay?
Yeah. No, they're bad.
Deontay Johnson for a 3rd round pick.
Cool. Let's do it.
it has to be the higher of your 2 third-round picks.
No, it doesn't.
Because as long as Will Levis is slinging that thing might be a nice little 3rd-round pick. Just saying.
I'll be keeping that one, but they can have the Chiefs' original one. Seth, what do you think about Deontay Johnson?
That's the counter offer I would make. Would be the Chiefs one if the Chiefs were able to reach a reasonable long-term deal with Johnson.
What if I told you Johnson has moved around from team to team and would like to have some stability?
That's why this makes the most sense to me.
And that's where, to me, it just would depend. If he was willing to sign some kind of contract extension as part of it, then yeah, I'd be willing to part with the 3rd rounder. He is someone who, in my opinion, especially when you take into account what we've seen from Worthy so far, he fits beautifully into what the Chiefs do well. He opens up really well against man coverage, which is a huge need. We talked about that a ton with Hollywood Brown.
Yes.
He's generally been a lot healthier than Brown.
There's no generally, he has.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just the truth.
Yeah, and it's not fair. But
Sounded
it is
harsh.
what it
I didn't
is.
mean it for it to sound harsh. Dang it.
Yeah,
he's 28
You're
years.
not coming, Nate. Damn it.
For people wondering, Deontay Johnson is right in that. His age is right in the bullseye, baby. It is 28 years old,
and he's actually that range of receiver. Now, so you remember when everyone laughed at the Jags when they paid Christian Kirk what they paid him?
Yes.
That time has actually been, yeah, me too. Time has been very kind to that contract overall in terms of where you've seen.
I disagree because you bleeped everyone and you knew you were doing it at the time.
I don't care about that. What for me, I personally think the receiver.
Hey, did they just sign Tua for that? Get Jordan Love on the phone immediately.
To me, what they created there was an upper middle class of receiver contracts. And that's one of the problems with quarterbacks, right? Now, sometimes you will see kind of upper middle class quarterback deals in terms of how the guarantees look and how the structure looks.
His name is Geno Smith.
Yes. Which, by the way, we should someday do a podcast on like Bizarro World had the Chiefs taken Geno in 2013. Because now we've seen what he does with decent coaching and weapons. And it's like, huh. Anyway, I think the thing that the point I'm trying to make with the Christian Kirk thing is there's this upper middle class of contracts for wide receivers, that $19-20 million a year. What does Deontay Johnson want? Because if he wants $19-20 a year, the Chiefs, they can build that in to what they're currently doing, and he can become one of the core 72 or whatever it is at this point.
The core 12.
Yes, that is something that could be accomplished, and he's the right age. He's got a great skill set for it. You've got Worthy on a cheap deal. You've got Rice on a cheap deal. He also fits in very well with Rice, by the way. He's not quite the deep threat. Well, no, because he can threaten deep too, even though he's not a burner. So I think he's a guy that I would be I'd be the most interested in of everyone. Would be Deontay Johnson. And that was true. That was true this offseason too, and then it came out that the Steelers, because I kind of whined and moaned about it, talking about really wishing the Chiefs had grabbed him. And the Steelers made it.
How you think Deontay feels?
Hold on. Ruben DeCruz says, Seth, what? What, Ruben? What?
Can we talk about...
I said Deontay Johnson is someone I whined and moaned about them not trading for, but it turns out afterwards that the Steelers were not willing to trade him. So I'm sorry if I stuttered there. That's my bad. Clearly, I'm in a good
Johnson
space
is 364 days older than Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
And that's
June 4th, June 5th. But I think about Deontay Johnson being almost a contract older. That might be that I think about Hollywood being a little younger, but right in the same pocket there.
Yeah. Shout out to Cold Jimmy who says bring in Antonio Brown as soon as possible.
We already said no to George Pickens.
Oh, he's not even as good.
No, he's not. But he's better than Sky Moore, damn it. Let's talk about the Saints. We're at the 65-minute mark of this show. What do you think about New Orleans? They started out absolutely red hot. They have since I'll say crashed back down to earth a little bit. Guys, are the Saints good?
I think they're decent. I think I'm really glad the Chiefs were not playing them the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And this is one of those situations where you saw a team that came in, and even though I don't know why people would be surprised what kind of scheme Clint Kubiak is running, because I've got some film that you could turn on from a fella named Gary that might be worth taking a look at. But anyway,
I really
some
want
of the
somebody's
things that
son to be like,
doing,
you know who I ain't gonna be? That guy.
You take people by surprise.
Yeah. You know what I'm doing? Air raids. 5 out all day. Didn't you come from the Shanahan tree? What tree?
Yeah, who is that? Shanahan? Who?
I
think they're
packages,
perfectly
5 wide, I formation, 2 tight ends. Okay, that's all we're running, boys.
Had they played them in the first couple weeks, I think that would have been bad for the Chiefs, because some of the stuff they do in terms of some of the play action, bootleg stuff, under center, that stuff, like some of the LaFleur type style stuff, that has given Spags defenses trouble traditionally.
Yes.
I do think the Chiefs are the better team. And I think the Chiefs being able to get a little bit of a lead in this one, even just like a 1-score lead or a field goal, you know what I mean? I think that's going to matter a great deal in terms of what Spags can do with this crew. I don't love the schematic matchup, though.
Probably no Taysom Hill at this point.
Thank God. Never mind. Chiefs by a million.
This is such a Taysom Hill game.
Because
God,
it is.
dang it.
I can't. Yeah. I think the lab talked about this some, and I it might have been Mina Kimes talking about it also. But what Taysom Hill allows the Saints to do from a personnel perspective is genuinely fascinating. He's been maybe over discussed a little bit and maybe overpaid a little bit over the years. But having someone out there who can be a fullback or a legit pass catcher, a tight end, or a snap taker, and potentially even ball thrower, I suppose. Yes. You have to stay in your base personnel, which I don't think the Chiefs are afraid of at this point. But I don't know that they will have to if Taysom Hill doesn't play in this game. Again, we're gonna have to wait all the way till Monday on it. Nate, give me a key or something that we've talked about the nonsense game, the spitting on the ball that Andy Reid's gonna have to do. Give me something to keep an eye on when this game gets here.
Okay,
and tell me what happens.
For really the first time you can argue all season, they will have plays and packages, and they might even split him out wide due to the circumstances. We haven't mentioned his name all episode. Travis Kelce.
Oh, him.
I'm just saying, like, they went into Baltimore saying, if they do this, Rashee Rice will absolutely eat them alive. And it happened. And then you got the big plays from Xavier Worthy. Great. Perfect night. That is honestly when the offense looked its best, which is, not great when you're 5 weeks later. But, they haven't really, they understand that Travis probably has some advantages based on this defensive staff, this personnel. Man, it just they are banged up. I really hope Willie Gay plays. I don't know if that's going to happen. Of course,
I think he was in a sling at one point last week.
It's not great. So I think Travis Kelce, knowing that you don't have Rashee Rice, knowing that you don't want to put too much of a burden on Xavier Worthy, and knowing you can spitball for only so long. I mean, Michael Walker's going to find that out in the third inning. I think Travis Kelce could have a night. I think he could have a night with the game plan, and all the things we talked about with Mahomes sort of getting cleaned up. And it's not sexy, but even Andy Reid, I think Andy Reid's biggest point to the offense this week is, can we stop having penalties? because
one.
he feels like that is more. He said this today. He feels like that is more manageable and controllable than even some of the wackier turnovers, whether that's Carson Steele being a rookie or Patrick just not being as accurate as normal. He's actually more worried about penalties. So if you limit the penalties, and Kelce is your true number one receiver, which we've seen him do before, I do think that gives you a chance to, hey, maybe have a 2-score lead, which, by the way, they haven't really done this season.
Got a score? What do you think?
Chiefs 20, Saints 19. They miss an extra point for some reason. It's going to be incredibly weird. I'm sorry, guys. I mean,
I'll get mine in and out here, Seth, and you can have the final word on it. I'll just say that I think it's an interesting Trent McDuffie game, especially if the Saints do kind of just stick with their 2 outside receivers and you don't have to move. This also may have been a thing they talked about in the lab.
yes.
Really making sure that you listen to both shows this week.
Please.
But Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are both good matchups for Trent McDuffie, but hard matchups. Like it is a good collision of really, really excellent players, and Jalen Watson just had a great week. But I don't know what Jalen Watson's going to look like against this particular group of receivers. I would love to see another big game from Trent McDuffie. I just think he's going to end up in the spotlight in this one, which is for the Chiefs a good thing. But I'll be looking to him. I was also going to say 20 to something. I'll go 20 to 17 Chiefs. We're taking unders around here. Seth, you get the last word. Whatever you're looking at, whatever your prediction is, then Nate, you can get us out of here.
I'm going to say 27-17 Chiefs. I don't know why. Got a decent feeling about the offense.
You got a matchup or a player or anything you want to hit?
Oh yeah, sorry, I already talked about Kubiak, and that I'm concerned about that. Some of the things that they do in terms of play fakes and the under center stuff, the misdirection, that is stuff that we've seen Spags defenses bite on. So I'm a little concerned about that. But overall, the interior blocking of the Saints has been pretty poor. When they lost their center, that was a huge blow to them. Derek Carr's never been a call out the protections guy. He's just not. And so I think there's an off chance you see another huge Chris Jones game. And potentially it's easy to forget because Gruden actually helped change some of it for a little bit in terms of helping with protections. Spags used to just fillet Derek Carr. And you could see one of those, but it just all depends on whether they can keep it even or get a lead. But if they fall behind by like 7 to the Chiefs, I think Spags is going to do some truly terrible things to Derek Carr. Unspeakable even.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings if those would have been the final words of this episode, but since they're not, Nate, get us out of here and get us to Monday.
Yes. Guys, I just want to give a quick shout out. His name is Andrew Hatfield. He is a listener to the show. He did us a favor. I appreciate him. He's great. He is also a doctor. Dr. Hatfield, I tip my hat to you, sir. Although it's backwards. Thank you as always. Couldn't have done it without you. Now everybody take a knee, okay? Everybody take a knee. Let me get this towel, put it down on my knee that I've pissed away, basically. Lord, not one for real, prayers, but may our bats be swift. May our gloves be mighty. May our balls be plentiful. Lord, I just want to thank you for that lady back there in Mississippi who kept calling your name, screaming it, honestly. I just want these boys to understand that you've given us a special summer. And, Lord, we just pray that Aaron Boone pitch to Bobby Witt Jr. All right, in the name of the Son and the Holy Ghost. Okay, all right. Let's have a good series, boys.
May your balls be plentiful.